In your mission as Arjun in Housemarque's latest roguelike, Saros, you'll need to fight your way through hordes of creatures and formidable demigods to discover the truth about the fates of the previous Echelon expeditions and the secrets of the eclipsed world. While dodging through the bullet hells to come will prove instrumental, to succeed in a run of Saros, you'll need to outfit yourself with the best weapons and alien powers you can find. Here's a look at the sorts of gear you can expect to find scattered around the world of Carcosa. Your primary method of dishing out the hurt will be with your guns. In Saros, the gun's primary fires will generally auto-target the enemy you're looking at, letting you focus on avoiding the swarms of incoming bullets and charging monsters. Some of the guns, however, don't have this convenient feature, requiring you to manually aim instead, typically granting additional benefits from striking an enemy's weak point, displayed by a bright blue area on their body. Occasionally, you may even stumble on a special corrupted version of these guns that have the added benefit of its damage increasing the higher your corruption gauge is, adding to the risk versus reward angle. Saros has 5 different classes of weapons to stumble on during your runs in Carcosa, with each having 3 distinct varieties that offer unique alternate fires and a handful of other differentiating perks and quirks, making each individual gun really feel like its own thing. You're sure to find your own favorites, but you'll often find yourself having to pick up an unfamiliar weapon that's a much higher level than what you currently are wielding. So, to help you get a better understanding of all the different weapon types, let's break down each one and explain how they're best used. Starting with the rifle class of weapons, we've got the tactical, onslaught, and smart rifles, which are your standard safe choices that are solid in basically any situation, offering both good damage and range while being able to comfortably deal with mobs and single targets both. Starting with the tactical rifle, this is your balanced straight shooter where you just aim and shoot, featuring an alternate fire that simply lets it fire faster the longer the button's held down, your typical spray and pray kind of gun. If sticking to cover is more your style, then you should be on the lookout for the smart rifle. The smart rifle deals less damage than the other variations, but has aggressive auto-aim that makes it so pretty much every shot will find a target, no matter how far off your actual aim is. What sets the smart variation apart is in its split rounds alternate fire, which shoots out 3 homing bullets that will seek out the nearest enemy all on their own. You can be nestled safely behind a big rock and pelt the beast on the complete other side of you. Lastly, we come to the onslaught rifle, a gun designed to dish out heavy damage with steady aim. The main thing to keep in mind about the onslaught rifle is that it's one of those aforementioned weapons that has the auto hit turned off, so you'll need to be precise when using it. Its alt fire, heavy rounds, deals extra damage by hitting enemies' weak points, though your rate of fire is slower during this mode. With the largest clip size of the weapon types, you'll be able to get away with a few good seconds of constant firing before requiring a reload, which can make it nice for dealing with larger mobs, and its targeted focused fire makes rifles great options for single larger targets, like bosses too. Don't let their small size trick you. These small but mighty handcannons still pack a solid punch. These weapons find their sweet spot in between the rifles and shotguns in terms of effective range, making them best when keeping things in a short to mid-range skirmish. Out of the 3, the Eruptor and Marksman handcannons have nearly identical primary fires, both being triple shot bursts with a 15-clip magazine. The alternate fires are where they differ the most, with the Eruptor, after a short charging period, dumping its entire clip all at once, while the Marksman, also accompanied by a short charge, shoots out a large single shot that will also mark the enemies it hits, enabling auto hit against them, if they survive that is. The last hand cannon type, the Ricochet hand cannon, lives up to its name with bullets that bounce off surfaces to help hit enemies. More visually exciting than practical I found during my runs using it, with its alternate fire allowing you to fire the gun as fast as you can pull the trigger, but with a clip size of only 6 rounds, you'll really need to be a rock star at the perfect reload to really make it worthwhile. If you've used a shotgun in a game before, you'll know just what to expect from the shotguns in Saros too. Great damage potential at short range that quickly drops off the further you get. That being said, the alternate fires found with the variants do provide a bit more flexibility than your typical boomstick. Take a look first at the Horde shotgun. This option sticks closest to the traditional shotgun, with its primary fire being more of a spread out horizontal spray, shared among all variations, with its alternate fire being a tighter spread vertical one, making it great for single big targets. Next up is the Annihilator shotgun, whose alternate fire adds in a handy grenade launcher, letting you launch an explosive round on an arc at the cost of spending additional rounds of ammo. These explosions not only do a ton of damage, but considerably add to a creature's stagger bar, which can make them prone to executions when full. Lastly, and the most unique of Saros' shotgun offerings, is the Stalwart shotgun. Using the Stalwart's alt fire will suspend its hail of pellets in the air, frozen, and with another trigger press, send them hurtling forward at high speeds. This makes for a great option to set up traps and lure enemies into them, dealing big damage to those unsuspecting targets. Both the initial shot that are suspended in the air and shooting them both cost ammo, getting you about 3 cycles per full clip. On the topic of clip sizes, the shotguns hold about 6 normal rounds before triggering the reload, so just be sure to factor in the increased cost of using the alt fire modes when keeping track of your ammo during those tense encounters. Among Arjun's arsenal, the crossbow has the unique property of not having ammo per se. Instead, each of the 3 options has a sort of charge meter, with the longer you hold down the trigger, the stronger the shot, functioning more like a bow, I guess, than a crossbow. This makes the crossbow a great choice for those who don't want to be distracted by having to time your reloads or count your shots while dodging around. The best example of this perk is the repeater crossbow, whose primary fire sends out a number of bolts in a horizontal line. It's got great range and can hit multiple times on larger targets too. The repeater's alt fire fires out a single bolt instead, but once it hits its target, it'll split into multiple smaller homing projectiles to pelt other nearby enemies, making it a solid choice for dealing with both groups and single targets. The rate of fire is steady, letting you just hold down the fire button while you jump around, focusing on keeping yourself alive. The impactor crossbow has a bit more flexibility than its sibling, with its allowing you to fire a bit faster at the expense of fewer bolts, but holding down the trigger will allow you to queue up 3 bolts to be fired at once after about a second or so. Its alternate fire does behave in much of the same way as the repeater as well, but with the added stipulation of requiring you to target and hit an opponent's weak point in order to trigger the multiple homing bolts. This does help the impactor hit harder so long as you have good aim. Lastly is the bifurcator crossbow, which again has an alternate fire that fires a single bolt out that splits on contact and seeks out nearby enemies. Its primary fire isn't too different either, allowing you to charge and release a shot that splits apart as it flies, hitting a single target multiple times instead, however. While not the most common of weapon types, guns that shoot saws are pretty cool in video games, and Saros joins the small list of games that use these tools of pain with its Chakram guns. Much like crossbows, Chakrams don't use ammo in the same way the more traditional guns do, and the way you use them really depends on which variation you're wielding. Out of the 3 options, the Ripsaw Chakram sets itself apart by having an alternate fire that is less a different shot and more of a sort of modifier added onto its primary fire. Once an enemy has been struck by one of the Ripsaw's blades, it'll stick to them and do damage over time. You can increase that damage over time effect with its alternate fire, Tormented Retract. By holding the alt fire button down, the embedded saw blades will spin faster, dealing more damage before they return to you, ready to fire off again. They're great for letting you keep up the pain as you play keep away. You just have to make sure that you're landing your shots and are aware of which enemies currently have saw blades in them at all times. The Reaping Chakram is more for the folks that want to get in and stay in close, the closest thing you can get to a melee build in Saros. The primary fire will shoot out single saw blade, but in order to fire it again, you must press the alternate fire button to recall the blade. Recalled blades will spin around you and deal damage to nearby enemies while they're waiting to be fired again. Every subsequent hit done in quick succession will increase the damage you do, so shooting the saw and then rushing in, while risky, may just prove worth your while. Last up is the Myriad Chakram, which is all about shooting out as many saw blades as fast as you can. The primary shot is nothing overly special. Simply saw blades you can shoot out quickly that home in on an enemy, and then, after a brief moment, return to your stockpile. The alternate fire deactivates the auto hit function, and every hit on a weak point instantly returns that blade to you, letting you fire as fast as you want so long as you have the shot lined up and are hitting that weak point. So mash away. Alongside your arsenal of firearms, Arjun also has access to literal firearms in the form of special Carcosan power weapons. Serving as a sort of special move or secondary weapon, these specials utilize power, a resource that you gain by absorbing certain bullets with your defensive shield, and unlike guns, power weapons don't feature alternate firing modes. This power bar can be increased by investing points and picking up power artifacts, letting you use your equipped power weapon additional times and for longer before having to recharge. Prominence is the first power weapon you gain access to in Saros and will remain a safe choice throughout the entire game. Arjun conjures and hurls a large fireball, exploding and dealing big damage to anything caught in the small radius of the explosion. Prominence is great for when there are small clusters of small targets around, and it's a great source of single target burst damage that doesn't really need to be carefully aimed. When it comes to dealing with large mobs, one of the best power weapons you can have is Dispiritor. Unlike most of the other power weapons that require a certain amount of power to use, Dispiritor will fire as long as you have any of the valuable resource, with greater amounts simply letting you fire for longer. This power weapon sprays out small blue lights that swarm enemies, dealing a lot of damage over time. And, if it manages to kill something, it spawns a small turret-like construct that fires additional bullets that seek out other enemies. Not the best choice for most bosses, as you'll lose out on that handy turret, but a great option to thin out big groups of enemies. On the complete opposite end of the spectrum from Dispiritor is Nova Lance. After a short charge-up time, this precise and powerful shot will pass through multiple enemies, dealing big damage. But its real strength comes from the massive damage increase it gets when hitting an enemy's weak point, making it a great option against bosses, so long as you can find the time to use it and line up your shot. The final power weapon, Illumine, takes a page out of Dispiritor's book, being one that will fire for as long as you have power available. Illumine shoots out a beam from Arjun's hand that will auto-target and deal damage for as long as the beam is in contact with the target. It's a great option to quickly take care of weaker enemies, while still being a solid choice against single targets as well. Being flexible and adapting your plans to whatever options are available to you throughout your run is crucial in any roguelite, and Saros is no exception. While you don't have much control as to what you'll find, hopefully this guide will at least put you on the right track for what you should keep your eyes open for or prioritize while you're out in the field. Right tool for the right job, as they say. For all things Saros, be sure to check out our review and other guides to help you through Housemarque's latest sci-fi adventure. And for everything else, stick with IGN.